A man named Nana Oppong has been found guilty of the murder of the well-known Hackney resident, Fox. Nana had already been implicated in 4 other murders. This would lead him to garnering a reputation as a hitman in the streets of London. His nickname was Enz. Enz was allegedly a part of a criminal organisation based in East London. Now, there aren't many details about his first murder case online, but on the 23rd of the 12th in 1999, a man named Jeremiah Oki would be murdered. This would see the first time that Nana Oppong would be accused of murder, but it would also be the first time that he was found not guilty of murder. This would become a trend for the proclaimed hitman, as this would happen at least 2 more times. Now, it's not too often that I'll go into details about things that are not yet confirmed, but Nana Oppong, aka Enz, has a very serious reputation in East London. This would seemingly be backed up in 2010, when there would be a second murder linked to him. Enz would be out celebrating his 30th birthday. For some reason at the same time, a man named Eugene Brown would pull out a firearm and shoot into the air multiple times. This would cause panic at the party, and the partygoers would flee the event. Allegedly then, Michael Smith, who was Nana Oppong's good friend, would head outside with Nana himself. Michael would go on to shoot Eugene Brown and another man named Patrick Ford. Eugene was shot in the head while Patrick was shot in the chest. During this altercation, at some point, Michael would be chased down the road by Kevin Powell. Now, Michael is the best friend of Nana, while Kevin is alleged to be the brother of Fox, whose real name is Robert Powell. Kevin was also friends with Eugene Brown, who was defending him in this situation. While Kevin was chasing Michael down the road, he would let off multiple shots in Michael's direction, which would add up to at least 24 bullets being discharged by Kevin as he pursued Michael. While Michael was escaping from Kevin, his suit was covered in blood and Michael was shot at least twice in this altercation. Allegedly, Enz would pick Michael Smith up and save him from this incident, and would end up taking him to hospital so that Michael survived. Both Eugene Brown and Patrick Ford would die of their injuries. Michael Smith was jailed for 34 years for double murder. Kevin Powell was sentenced for attempted murder, and Nana Oppong would be cleared of firearm charges and the murder after 2 juries failed to reach a verdict. Nana would only be sentenced to 2 years for perverting the cause of justice. Now, the trials took place in 2012, so by this time Nana had already been on trial technically for 3 murders, as this second case was a double murder, and just 2 years later in 2014, Nana would be attending a party in Dagenham. At this time, he was known as the cleaner due to the fact that he had a job as a cleaner. On around 5:30 AM on the 18th of May in 2014, a man named Ashley Latty would be seen on CCTV being attacked outside of the Beaver Centre in Dagenham. Ashley had been accused of robbing a chain and was subsequently attacked for this. He would be seen being set upon. Briefly, he would manage to escape, but the group of attackers would overwhelm Ashley. At least one person had a knife, 1 more had a bottle, and together a group of at least 5 men would beat Ashley viciously with kicks, punches, elbows, a bottle and a knife. In this attack, Ashley was stabbed 5 times, twice in the back and 3 times in the front of his chest. One of the blows would pierce his heart and sadly he would pass away. The attackers allegedly didn't care who saw them attacking Ashley, and they would even stab other people who were trying to calm them down and stop the attack. When the men were put on trial, Nana would say that he had no idea who the other people involved were, but that he was asked to join in the attack by a random person who had told him that Ashley had stolen somebody's chain. He would say that when he was invited to attack Ashley that he felt flattered. Nana would claim that he had no knowledge that anybody had a knife at the time. He would be found guilty of grievous bodily harm and would serve 4 years for this attack. 2 of the other attackers would be given life sentences with a minimum of 20 years as they were found guilty for murder. Now, by this time, Nana had been accused of at least being involved in 4 murders, but as we know, the story is not over just yet. Now, just in case you don't know who Fox is, let me give you a brief background. Fox was Guccivelli's manager and was 50 years old at the time of his murder. He had been known in the streets for decades and was said to be well respected in his area for various reasons. He has been accused of being a gangster in the past, but it has been disputed. What is confirmed, however, is that he was a family man by all intents and purposes. Fox has a brother called Wayne Powell who was sadly shot and killed in 2010. These factors may give a certain impression of Fox, but we have to remember that a lot of stuff surrounding Fox are just rumours. Now, when it comes to Nana Oppong, also known as Enz, there are several rumours surrounding the relationship between Fox and Enz, but none of them have been proven at this point, so I won't go into those rumours like a lot of other channels will. But around June of 2020, for whatever reason, Nana Oppong would be looking for Robert Fox Powell to kill him. and sadly, that is what would unfold. The Essex police have put together a video describing the events in detail.
The murder of Robert Powell was calculated, planned, vicious, and only can be described as an execution, committed by serious organised criminals. Just prior to 5 a.m. on the 13th of June 2020, Essex police were called to the reports of a shooting in Water Lane, Roydon near Harlow. Upon arrival, Robert Powell, aged 50, was found having been shot 8 times and later died in hospital. In the hours leading up to Robert's murder, he had been present at a party where approximately 100 people were there. 2 young women were also taken to hospital, having been caught in the crossfire. Our inquiries really centred on the location, speaking to witnesses, conducting forensic inquiries using ballistics experts to try and piece together what happened at the point Robert was shot and the hours leading up to it. This was an extremely complex investigation because of the level of criminality that we were dealing with. Following initial inquiries, we received some information that led us to identifying 3 key vehicles that were involved in the murder, all of which played their part. A Ford Cougar was identified containing the individuals that physically shot Robert Powell, a second vehicle, a Vauxhall Zafira, that was a supporting vehicle, and a third, a Prius, which we believe was there to look out for Robert Powell and identifying when he exited and left the party. Having identified the key vehicles, we then looked at where those vehicles went following the murder. The Cougar and the Zafira then went to a nearby industrial unit in Epping, where the Cougar was left and then later picked up some hours afterwards. Having received this information about the vehicles, we started to build our case looking at CCTV at the scene, ANPR activity, intelligence, and lots of inquiries with other agencies around the UK. This led us to identifying key individuals who we nominated as suspects in the inquiry. Through analysis of CCTV, ANPR, and with assistance from the National Crime Agency, we identified EncroChat encrypted phones that were linked to key suspects in this inquiry. We identified over 1,000 telephones within the course of the inquiry and submitted over 300 telephone applications. Some of the phones that we identified could only be described as burner phones and were purchased purely and solely for this crime. The evidence that we obtained from the EncroChat telephones showed that Nana Oppong was involved in the high-end supply of Class A controlled drugs. He pleaded 2 offences linked to this during the trial. Other evidence that we obtained from the EncroChat handles showed that Nana Oppong was in conversations with others in the weeks leading up to the murder about firearms and ammunition. This, with other evidence, identified that a week prior to the murder, attempts were made to locate Robert Powell at a party in London, using the same key vehicles that we used in the murder. Other than the date of the attempt and the murder itself, both the Vauxhall and the Ford Cougar were not ever seen on ANPR or any other activity across the UK, so they were solely used for the purpose of trying to locate and kill Robert Powell. In the days following the murder, we received information to suggest that the suspects had fled the country, knowing that they were sought by UK law enforcement. Finally, in 2022, Nana Oppong and Isra Shah were both apprehended and arrested and extradited back into the UK. Nana Oppong was extradited from Morocco, Isra Shah from Spain.
Confirm your name for me.
Isra Shah.
Cool. Isra Shah. Time's 2 minutes to 4. Okay, you're under arrest for first instance one relating to the murder of Robert Powell.
The magistrates at Chelmsford Magistrates Court have issued a warrant for your arrest, and that's in relation to a murder, possession of a firearm with intent to endanger life, and wounding with intent.
My team have worked tirelessly over the last 4 years, piecing together the evidence and information, and at the same time trying to locate the suspects that are outstanding for this murder. At the centre of any murder investigation is the victim. Robert Powell, aged 50, was gunned down outside an address in Roydon in 2020. Robert was a family man, and they loved him and will miss him dearly.
And so, Nana Oppong has been arrested. He has been tried and he has been found guilty. He will be sentenced on Friday the 31st of May. Guys, this is one of the craziest stories that I've ever came across. This is some American type stuff. You typically don't hear about stories like this in England where someone has been tried for 4 murders and managed to evade every single sentence that many times, but then they've finally been convicted in a horrific attack. But guys, rest in peace to all of the people that were killed and huge condolences to their families. Hopefully this outcome can somewhat bring peace to some people's loved ones, but ultimately justice is subjective, and the truth is that there will be mixed feelings about this whole thing even now. Some people simply do not like the justice system. But if you are someone who's involved in the streets, or you're trying to stay away from it, or you need help building a CV, looking for getting work, getting back into education, drop me a message on Instagram at underworld.unmasked. If you haven't already, make sure to check out my documentary type video about Northside and Southside Newham. I have another huge video coming soon, so make sure to subscribe. And also guys, comment below what you think about the fact that this guy has just now been found guilty of murder for his 4th murder trial. Till next time, peace.